Hello there, folks. Welcome to our coverage of the Concacaf Champions Cup final, and a massive congratulations to Cruz Azul, the Giants from Mexico, reigning supreme by 5-0 on the night against the Vancouver Whitecaps. A clinical performance against a Whitecaps team that weren't at the levels that we saw in the build-up to this final. Delighted to welcome you into our studio. Kevin Egan, thrilled to be alongside two MLS legends, Dax McCarty and Sasha Kleshin. A remarkable run for Vancouver that ends in an abrupt way, Sash. The better side, by far, Cruz Azul.
Yeah, by far. I think we can applaud Vancouver Whitecaps for the run that they went on to get to this final. Unfortunately, in this final against Cruz Azul, they were second best in everything from the first moment until the 90th. I think they played the game rather naively.
In what way?
In playing out of the back, losing bad balls that lead directly to chances. When you're playing away from home in a game like that, you got to play a little bit smarter early in the game. You play the ball up the field, play the first half of the game in their half, keep the game at 0-0 as long as possible. None of that happened tonight.
There wasn't enough balance, especially from the opening whistle. There were warning signs coming into this game. As MLS players, as fans of the league, as fans of Jesper Sorensen and Brian White and what the Vancouver Whitecaps have done all year, continuously proving me wrong, proving a lot of people wrong, not dropping their levels, going down to Mexico, winning numerous series that were fantastic. They were second best all over the field, and they didn't get the balance right. It was a slightly arrogant performance, to Sasha's point. They didn't get the balance right. If you are going to give Cruz Azul down in Mexico the impetus to go and press you high and get shots, put pressure on your goal, and they are going to play at the level that they played at tonight, which was brilliant, you are behind the eight ball to start. Vancouver was way off it from the opening whistle. It's a really disappointing performance.
It's 0 shots, Kev.
Yeah. And uncharacteristic mistakes. Andres Cubas, you've had him as your MVP pick. Well, it was a few weeks ago now at this stage.
A few months ago, but that's okay.
But I mean, him slipping, giving the ball away in costly areas. If the Vancouver Whitecaps were going to pick a day to have a bad day, this was not the day to do it in the grand final against Cruz Azul.
And everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and you have to look at your best players. If you want to win a competition as competitive and prestigious as the Concacaf Champions Cup, you have to have your best players be your best players and play at their maximum level. Andres Cubas, not good enough. Probably had the worst game of his whole career tonight, and you could see that on his face. It wasn't just the first half, it was the second half. But even then, Sash pointed to no shots on goal, no shots in the game. It was just complete domination from start to finish. If you want to give yourself a chance to win big trophies, then you have to play better than that.
It's not easy now, Sash, to look back on this entire run from Vancouver. There's a little bit of a stain on it at this point in time. There always will be when we look at the final. Yep. But think about the run here. Saprissa, you get it done, even though you lose one of those legs. Monterrey and Pumas, giants of Liga MX. Then you go and destroy Lionel Messi and Inter Miami while getting it done in Major League Soccer. Let's not forget, Vancouver sit at the summit of the Western Conference and then falling, of course, 5-0 to Cruz.
And that's where they need to look back on now, Kev. Look back on these series. Remember the first half of the season. See the confidence that they played with in difficult places, and now carry that with them for the rest of the year. You can't let this moment derail you as much as it hurts. You got to jump back on the saddle. You're going to play against Seattle next week. It's going to be a tough match. The best way to get over a breakup, a loss, a bad one, is to jump right back out there and try to get 3 points. They can't let one bad result derail what has been a fantastic season to this point.
You've both been incredible leaders in dressing rooms. If you're a leader in that locker room right now, Dax, what are you saying to ensure that once the weekend comes around and that match against Seattle, that you're not still hurting?
That performance wasn't good enough. Learn from it, forget about it. It was a great run. Nobody gave them a chance. Nobody gave us a chance. Learn from it, move on as quickly as possible. If I'm Jesper Sorensen, I don't even watch the tape. There is nothing to look at from that film. You forget about it, like Sash said. You move on as quickly as possible, and you realize you are the alphas in Major League Soccer right now. This is the worst result and worst performance of the season, but you have 16, 17 other games. Actually, forget that. You have 22, 23 other games to look back on and say, we were the better team in almost every single game that we have played. This loss is the anomaly. That's the anomaly. It can never happen again.
I walk around the locker room, I give everybody a hug, and I say, let's get after it tomorrow. Yeah. Forget about this. Don't watch the tape. Let's get after it tomorrow.
As for Cruz Azul, Congratulations, 7th time
Fantastic.
champions of the region. The first time in 11 years to go and do it. Matty Bogusz as well, a former Major League Soccer player. Yorgos Yakimakis too, but Bogusz's goal in this game up against an old teammate of his in Blackman. Brilliant.
But Cruz Azul went out in the last couple of off seasons and spent a ton of money, right? They invested in their squad. They paid what, 10, 11, 12 million for Matty Bogusz from LAFC? They showed ambition to go out there.
10 million for Yakimakis?
Yakimakis as well. And shout out to Vicente Sanchez, coach who played in Major League Soccer. This was his first coaching job. He's at the Summit right now. I'm sure he's going to get another job after this. You got to tip your cap and just say that Cruz Azul was the best team in North America by far right now.
Yeah, I look back at the last 5 finals in the Concacaf Champions Cup, but Seattle Sounders victorious in 2022. We heard on Sunday Night Soccer from Brian Schmetzer talking about Vancouver getting to this point, but he also made sure to point out that Seattle, the only side to go and get it done once they get to the final here in this current iteration. Cruz Azul victorious over Vancouver here tonight. Is there anything else from a positive standpoint that Vancouver can take back? They're on a long flight home. They had 700 or so fans. I think for me, that's an area of this run, that they galvanized the fan base at a critically important time for Vancouver to go and do that. To have 700 or 800 fans make the trip to Mexico, that has to be a positive here. I know it didn't happen for them on the night, but they've galvanized that group going forward. They can still make a run at a Supporters' Shield and potentially MLS Cup.
People have reason to believe the season isn't over. This is a massive hurdle and a massive disappointment. It's a massive failure, but the season is not lost. You're still in 3 different competitions. You can still play for all these different trophies. So you have to move on from this as quickly as possible. And how do you do that? Well, you said it, Kev. They're 15 games unbeaten right now. Well, before this game. In MLS, they've been strong. They've had a little bit of a wobble. Jesper Sorensen, he needs to get back to making sure that this group is balanced the right way. And he needs to make sure you just forget about this performance because it is an anomaly like we talked about.
Wouldn't be surprised if they got a few days off.
Yeah.
Get their head away from everything, come back. They play next Sunday against Seattle. They're also in the Canadian Championship. Take care of your next games. You got to forget about this one and move on.
Their only loss in Major League Soccer was back in March at home at BC Place against the Chicago Fire, and a much rotated team, given that it was an international window as well. So a lot to be positive for the Vancouver Whitecaps if they can go and find that positivity. It's not an easy time right now for these players after a 5-0 drubbing on the road in Mexico. There for us on the ground, Ramses Sandoval, and he caught up with Brian White.
It's Brian White with us. First of all, Brian, thanks for your time. Tough loss, so we appreciate you coming on with us. Tough matchup with a very good Cruz Azul team in a very tough environment, but still an unbelievable run for this team.
Yeah, obviously it was a really good run. We had some great memories. Yeah, just tough to come here and just tough game all around.
Starting the matchup, it looked like you guys just couldn't find your game. You guys been fantastic in possession, sort of being able to handle that, and you just couldn't find the ball initially against this team. What do you think were some of the factors that went into that?
Yeah, as of now, I can't really pinpoint. Like you said, we never really got a grip of the game, never really played ourselves into it. From start, we never really got into it. It was difficult from then on.
As far as this group, as far as this team, Brian, and a lot of your teammates have said so, it's very special. It's a special team. You guys are still rocking in Major League Soccer, obviously, and the run for this team nobody expected in this tournament. You guys knocking out Saprissa, Monterrey, Pumas, first MLS team to knock out 2 Mexican clubs back-to-back in Mexican soil. What makes this group special?
Yeah, I think we have a belief in each other, a belief in the group, the coaching staff, everything. We have support of our fans who came all the way down here, and it's about how we respond to this. Obviously, it's a punch in the face, a gut, pretty much a punch everywhere. But yeah, now there's the MLS games, as a Canadian Championship, so we have to turn our attention there, and it's about how we respond and how we show some character.
And finally, for you personally, Brian, an unbelievable summer coming up for you. You've earned a U.S. call-up. Obviously, 5 goals in Champions Cup, 10 in MLS. For you personally, how are you feeling getting into the summer?
Yeah, I feel like, playing well, scoring goals, helping the team win. It's excited. Obviously, like you said, going to the Gold Cup now, so it should be a good experience, and hopefully we can win some trophies there.
Final message, Brian, to MLS fans and obviously these great Vancouver fans that made the trip.
Yeah, shout out to the Vancouver fans, to those who made the trip all the way down, those who are back home at the watch party, those who support us all the way through this journey. Support means the world to us, and we go again in MLS play now.
Thanks for your time, Brian. Thank you. It's Brian White. Back to you guys.
Great stuff. Ramses Sandoval there with arguably Vancouver's greatest ever player, Brian White, their top scorer, that's for sure. Here's a look at their next 5 games against the Sounders, June 8th, and here we go, on the road against Columbus. Take on San Diego, at LAFC, and at the Galaxy, a rejuvenated Galaxy potentially here. Sash, this ain't easy.
No, this is a tough schedule coming up, and you also got to remember that Brian White won't be there for most of that, being gone at the Gold Cup, selected for the U.S. men's national team. He's the leader. He's the guy who puts the ball in the back of the net. That's going to be very interesting to see how this team does. It wouldn't be surprising to see them take a pretty big dip in the standings over the course of those 4 or 5 games.
Well, we're conditioned to expect that. Once they've reached the playoffs, as they've done in the last couple of seasons under Vanni Sartini, they've fallen short against LAFC. They've fallen short when we've wanted them, Dax, to take that leap. They've taken that leap in many ways this season, but they fell short here tonight in the Cup final. All eyes on Vancouver now to see if they can stay strong.
If I'm Vancouver and I'm the players and I look at that schedule, it makes me excited because it's an opportunity to prove that it's not a mirage. There have been some people, myself included, that have still kind of doubted this team. I've given them a ton of credit now for making it all the way to the final while also balancing being the leaders in the Supporter Shield race up until this point. But obviously with this dip, you have to see what you're made of. Brian White referenced character. We're going to see what the character of this team is all about. And with what Jesper Sorensen has done with this group of players this year, I'm not going to doubt him. I think Sasha's right. There could be a little dip on the horizon, an emotional letdown, if you will. But I think that with the core group of this team, with the Kubases, with the Tristan Blackmans, the Veselinoviches, the Brian Whites, you hope to get Ryan Gauld back at some point soon. You would hope that the leadership in the core of this team will lead them in the right direction. They'll go and they'll win some big games, and they'll get back on the right track.
He just strikes me as the type of manager, Sorensen, that doesn't get too high in the brilliant times or too low in the disappointing times.
Yep.
So keen to see what the reaction will be. But for now, we'll check out what the feeling is like on the ground. Let's head over to Ramses.
Kev saw stacks. That's all she wrote for the Vancouver Whitecaps. A 5-0 scoreline, a very clear scoreline for Cruz Azul, for La Máquina Cementera. They captured their 7th Concacaf championship to go on par with Club America as the big-time record winners in Concacaf, and they win it for the first time in a decade. For the Vancouver Whitecaps, they were never able to find their game on the pitch, and that's what Matias Laborda told me, that's what Brian White told me, and that's what Coach said. This is a team that was never able to find their footing, that was never able to essentially possess the ball. No shots, essentially, on the pitch. Lost complete possession of the ball, went down early, and I was told by the team that was a big blow to them, going down practically in the 8th minute of the first half. This is a team that was looking to come out to Ciudad Universitaria to the pitch and hold off to a clean sheet as long as possible. That did not happen. And when they were looking for an historic comeback in the second half, they got a very early 5-0 against by La Máquina Cementera of La Cruz Azul. For the Vancouver Whitecaps, it will focus completely in Major League Soccer while they continue to have a great run. The historic run for them of Saprissa, Pumas, Monterrey, Inter Miami, Leo Messi and company on the road the whole time ends tonight in Ciudad Universitaria. It is Kevin, Cruz Azul, La Máquina Cementera, the champions of the 2025 CONCACAF Champions Cup. Back to you.
Top man, Ramses, great stuff there. And look at the scenes here. This is what we should focus in on as well for the Vancouver Whitecaps. We saw a big crowd make the trip to Chase Stadium, South Florida, when they beat Miami. And many more made the trip here, including young children on the road, representing British Columbia, representing Canada, as the Vancouver Whitecaps went all the way to the final. Well played. It was great to see, 700 or so fans, close to 800 fans. There was a rumour that it was only about 400, but that was seen as a big number over a week ago, and then it continued to grow as the fans started to keep the chatter going, many making the trip, an 8-hour trip at that. Meanwhile, LAFC taking on Liga MX's opposition last night, the play-in game for the Club World Cup, the $10 million match. LAFC victorious in this battle, Major League Soccer versus Liga MX. It went down to the wire. It was a really enjoyable game. What does this victory and qualification for the Club World Cup mean for LAFC?
It's massive. Massive for the club of LAFC. The atmosphere in the stadium last night against Club America in downtown Los Angeles was amazing. It looked like a real cup final between two massive teams with big supporters groups. The game meant a lot. There was big money on the line. And Denny Bouanga stepped up like he always does. And I'm so excited now to see this LAFC team and how they stack up against some of the best in the world. They're going to play against Chelsea, who won the UEFA Champions League just a few years ago. It's going to be massive for some of these young players to showcase themselves on the world stage, and I'm just excited to see another MLS team stepping up in a big moment, winning a final at home, putting themselves into the Club World Cup.
The atmosphere in the stadium was electric. I remember the first scenes that I saw. It was behind the 3-2-5-2 was on the other side of the field, and then it was behind the other goal, and it was all Club America fans. It felt like a real derby. It felt like so much passion. It just felt there was a different energy when you watched a game like that. And look at the resilience of LAFC. They go down 1-0. Mark Delgado, clear penalty. He says it wasn't, but it was. But to fight back, to not give up. In the 90th minute on a set piece, Igor Jesus, who's been one of the low-key, most underrated signings of the season so far, to get them back in the game, they were the better team on the night. It wasn't just some fluke result. I thought Club America would be the dominant team. We're talking about a team that has dominated North American soccer for 30, 40 years now. Right? The most dominant team in North American soccer history. They've won 3 out of the last 4 Liga MX titles. That's a really big test for an LAFC team who, quite frankly, has been a little bit inconsistent this year. But what it tells me is that, especially with this result in Concacaf Champions Cup and this result with Club America and LAFC in Leagues Cup, home field advantage in these games where you play against a Liga MX team and an MLS team, it is so, so, so valuable. The gap isn't as wide as it was before. I actually think the gap is quite close. I think it's very difficult to tell what league is better at this point in time. The 5-0 hurts at this point in time for MLS, but that's such a great win for LAFC to be a third club representing MLS in the Club World Cup is fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely big time, joining the Seattle Sounders and Miami. It felt like a final, didn't it? It certainly was for Steve Cherundolo in his final year in charge of LAFC. He was clearly delighted post-game.
We have taken this team very, very far in a lot of tournaments and have shown up in, I think it's like maybe 6, 7 final moments, 8. I don't know. I stopped counting. We've come up with some wins and some losses, and I tend to hear all of the losses and not the wins, and all of the great moments of this team and what this club has done over the last 3.5 years. And so it's just exactly what you saw. It's just pure, it's just raw emotion. It's me wanting to celebrate with our players and our fans because they deserve it and we deserve it. And it's kind of a culmination of 3.5 years of hard work.
Yeah, love that and respect that from Steve Cherundolo. 3 teams to make it then. Inter Miami, Seattle Sounders, LAFC. Which team makes the greatest run, Sasha Kleshin, as we look at the groups, and why?
LAFC. I think they've got the best group, the best opportunity to go out of their group and make it to a knockout stage where then anything is possible. I like their matchups with Flamengo and Tunis. Chelsea will be a tough one. But when I look at the Seattle group, unfortunately, they've been drawn into the group of death. That's the reality. Paris Saint-Germain is the champions of Europe. Botafogo is the champion of South America. And Atletico Madrid is one of the toughest teams to play against in the whole world of soccer. It's going to be tough for them. I like Miami's chances to get out of the group too, Dax.
It's hard for me to disagree with Sash because I do believe LAFC, in the form that they're in right now, have the best chance to get out of the group. But I'm going to go with Inter Miami. They have a sneaky, very tough group. Seattle, Sasha touched on it, group of death.
Well, Seattle have all 3 games at home, too. Big advantage.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it's not going to matter. Seattle's going to put up a fight. They're going to put a great account of themselves forward. It's just.
Would you bleach blonde your hair if Seattle get out of the group?
I'm not doing that again. Sure, why not? At this point, let's just
MLS
keep agreeing
wrap up
to
for
it.
that reference.
But Inter Miami, with the form that Lionel Messi is in right now, it's hard to doubt them. I mean, a couple weeks ago, Lionel Messi was having the most difficult run of his Inter Miami career. Inter Miami wasn't playing well. And now he has popped up with 2 consecutive wins for Inter Miami, where he has 7 goal contributions in 2 games. I mean, it's almost like this little dip they had has almost galvanized him. It's almost like he's gone home and said, all right, I'm going to have to put on my GOAT mask and continue to carry this team again. And he's doing that. And you look at that group, it's a really good group with some really tough teams. He's still the best player in that group. And if he wants to put the team on his back, if they can get the defensive structure right, Messi can provide moments of magic even in a big tournament like this.
Lionel Messi knows the eyes of the world will be on him. You know who else knows that? Is Olivier Giroud. Hugo Lloris, you could see after the game against Club America just what it meant to those two World Cup winners from France. Absolutely brilliant scenes throughout, and what it will mean to Seattle Sounders. We all know what talent they have and what talent Brian Schmetzer has at his disposal. Can they deliver at Lumen Field on home soil? It's going to be great. It all kicks off June 14th, folks, the Club World Cup, and it's great to have 3 MLS teams involved as well. For Dax McCarty, Sasha Kleshin, my name is Kevin Egan. Cheers to you for joining us on a great weekend for LAFC, not so much for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Congratulations to Cruz Azul, champions of Concacaf.